On November 22nd, 1963, at 12:30 p.m. Central Standard Time in Dallas, Texas, John Fitzgerald Kennedy, 35th President of the United States, was assassinated. Now, there are several conspiracy theories surrounding this presidential assassination, but one that's really puzzled me and really kind of, quite frankly, freaked me out was the Mandela Effect surrounding this assassination. And this Mandela Effect has to do with the car, the SX-100X, as it was codenamed by the Secret Service. The Mandela Effect goes like this. The original Lincoln that John F. Kennedy was assassinated in used to have only 4 seats, and for some reason now it appears to have 6 seats. It's really strange, and I have to admit, I remember that car having 4 seats as well. What I want to do now is I want to add to the conversation of the John F. Kennedy assassination car Mandela Effect. I have 3 things to talk to you about today. The first thing we're going to do is we're going to call the Henry Ford Museum. That's where the car is right now. This is in Dearborn, Michigan, and we're just going to ask them, hey, how many seats does this car have? Let's go ahead and do it now. Okay, I'm calling the Henry Ford Museum right now.
Thank you for calling the Henry Ford. For tickets, membership, or group reservations,
it's hard to not get an
1.
automated response.
For our hours and pricing, press 2. For directions to the Henry Ford, press 3. For information about our giant screen experience, press 4. To learn about any current or upcoming special programs, press 5. For information about weddings or catered events, press 6.
That's the only...
The Benson Ford Research Center, press 7.
We're going to go catering.
Good afternoon, event sales at the Henry Ford. This is Jennifer. How can I help you?
Hi, Jennifer. This is kind of a weird question. I'm just having trouble getting a hold of someone who's actually a real person. I was just trying to figure out if you guys still have the JFK car at the Henry Ford there that he was assassinated in Texas all those years ago.
If it's the authentic car?
Yeah, right, the Lincoln.
Yes, it is.
It's still there?
Yes.
Oh, that's awesome. That is so cool. Hey,
I think you're gonna be paying the museum a visit.
Yeah, I'd like to, because I'm in Ohio here, and it's not that far.
Right.
I was a little confused. Have you seen the car?
Several times. I walk past it multiple times a day.
That's awesome. I'm confused because, and this is a weird question, but I remember this car having 4 seats, not 6 seats, and I was wondering if you could give me any insight into that at all, since you've been there and you've seen the car.
It does only have it has the one bench seat in the back and then the seats in the front.
Oh, okay, so there's not 3 rows of seats, there's only 2 then.
No, right.
Okay.
But it was modified because it was still in use after that by Nixon after that happened.
Right.
It was modified, so.
That is awesome. Well, okay, listen, sorry to take up your time. I appreciate you answering my question.
Okay.
Thanks.
No problem.
All right, bye.
Bye-bye.
Okay, so that's someone from the Henry Ford telling me there's only 4 seats in that thing. So I'm a little confused now. Let's dig further into this. Okay, that was really weird, and I have to admit, it's not the response that I expected from the Henry Ford. I thought that they were going to tell me it has 6 seats. They didn't. The lady on the phone told me it had 4 seats. So now I have to wonder, has she not seen the car for a while? Is she Mandela affected? Or does the car at that museum have 4 seats? I won't know until I actually go to that museum and see it for myself. I have no clue. She works there. She's looked at the car several times. You'd think she'd know. Anyways, let's move on. one last thing I'd say about the Henry Ford. I've seen pictures, and I'll show them to you here, but I've seen pictures of that car with 4 seats and with 6 seats. I was really confused, but all the research I've done points to that car having 6 seats now. Let's move on. So the second thing that I want to present to you came from me watching an episode of this show called Dark Tourist.
Life can be dangerous when you're a dark tourist. My name is David Ferrier, and I've always been drawn to the weirder side of life. So I've decided to investigate dark tourism, a global phenomenon where people choose to vacation in places associated with death and destruction. It's like taking a weird holiday, some escapism, before going back to your normal, dull existence. I've been forced out of my comfort zone, and somehow it's made me feel even more happy to be alive. Maybe that's the whole point of dark tourism.
It was a show that aired on Netflix, and it was about a guy who toured these kind of morbid, strange destination spots. And one of the spots he toured was the JFK assassination. When he got to Dallas, Texas, he met up with a guy named Robin. Robin was an expert.
I travel 1,000 miles south to my next dark tourist destination, Dallas, Texas. X marks the spot where President Kennedy was assassinated back in 1963. Looking around, it's obvious JFK's death is being exploited for money, and business is booming. I want to understand exactly how a grisly death can be turned into a tourist experience. So I'm going on the 2 biggest JFK tours in town. I'm curious to see who operates these tours and how they tell the story. My first tour promises to be the most in-depth and comprehensive. Robin.
Hello.
I'm David.
David, I'm Robin.
It's nice to meet you.
Good to meet you.
There was no missing you here. You stand out.
Did something make me stand out? Not my face. I know you're here to take a look at the car.
Oh, there's no missing it.
Really? Even someone your generation. I'm impressed, David.
Robin calls himself a historian, dedicating 40 years of his life to researching the JFK assassination. And he's dead serious about all the details that come with it.
David, if you want to sit in the car where the president sat. David, you ready?
I'm ready.
Let's take a ride. What my customers want to do is to relive President Kennedy's motorcade route. We're on it right now. What we're talking about is that on that day, November 22nd, 1963, an American president, our 35th president, John F. Kennedy, was publicly and brutally murdered. That is ground zero. That's where it happened. That cross represents where the president is when he first reacts to a bullet. 5.9 seconds later, the president's head is taken off right here. Look at the picket fence. There are professional assassins behind that fence, David. There's also a shooting team in the Dowtex building that day waiting for the president.
So I thought this was interesting because when I was watching the show, I noticed that that car had only 4 seats. I was like, wow, that's really weird. Why would this guy who had been researching this JFK assassination for 30 plus years mess that up if the car has 6 seats now? I had to know. So what I did was I went to the website for the JFK tours, Robin's website for his tour company, and I got his email address, and I fired him off an email, and I got an email back from Robin within 24 hours. This is what that email looked like. Okay, so after watching that little episode segment on Dark Tourist, I found this website, jfkcustomtours.com, and right here on the homepage you see this replica of the JFK assassination car, and here is the guy who was on the show. And this guy, right here, Robin Brown, has studied the JFK assassination for over 45 years and owns a fully restored 1963 Lincoln convertible Kennedy car to give customized tours in. And I said, well, I got to talk to this guy. He was on the show Dark Tourist, and he's got his website. He gives tours. And, he's been researching this for over 45 years. So I got to know. So I did. I reached out to him by email. Here's the email I wrote. Dear JFK Custom Tours, my name's Cam Jennings, and I saw your tour on the Netflix show Dark Tourism. I said it wrong, but I thought it was really interesting because Robin Brown's, that's the guy who does the tours, X100 is meant to be an exact replica of JFK's Lincoln. I am confused. When I look at the pictures and videos of the assassination, it appears that the Lincoln that Kennedy is riding in is stretched and has 3 rows of seats. I have to admit being confused by this. I always thought it had 2 rows of seats, just like Mr. Brown's replica. Can you give me any insight on this? I know how much research and time that Mr. Brown has spent on the history of the JFK assassination. Just wondering if there is a reason his replica only has 2 rows of seats, while all I see now is 3 rows in the original. Any insight on subject appreciated? Thanks a ton. So Robin Brown himself actually wrote me back and said, Cam, our Kennedy car is not an exact replica, and we did not state that was an exact replica. It just closely resembles it. The president's limo was stretched, and ours has not been. There were 2 jump seats in between the back and front seat in the real presidential limo. That exact car was completely redone That exact car was completely redone for LBJ and is now in a museum at the Henry Ford Museum on display. Hope that helps. JFK Custom Tours. And that was sent from Robin Brown's iPhone. So he sent that to me on the fly. And then I wrote him back and said, hey, thanks so much for getting back to me, Robin. Appreciate your insight on it. And that was it. So, and all this happened like 5 or 6 days ago. The reason why is I was waiting on my book to come before I did this video. But anyways, that is Robin Brown's take on it. So Robin Brown apparently remembers the car having 6 seats and not 4, or he's just not being honest with me because he doesn't want to seem crazy. I don't know which, but I tend to take people at face value. I believe he's telling me the truth. So anyways, that is the story with that. Let's move on to the next part. Now, the third and final thing that I wanted to show you is the reason why it took me a little while to make this video. See, I was waiting on this book to get here in the mail, right? This book I ordered from thriftbooks.com, and this book is called 4 Days. Now in this book, I want to see if there is some Mandela Effect type residue, because this book has photographs from this assassination. So let me go ahead and open. I've been waiting to open this up. Let me go ahead and open this up on camera here so you guys can kind of experience this book with me a little bit. So there's the book. It's called 4 Days. And not much to it. And what I want to do now is I want to look into this book. I want to see if we can find some pictures that might give us some more clues as to whether this car has always had 6. Has it always been stretched out the way it is now with 6 seats? The way history tells us it is right now? Or did it once only have 4 seats? Was it somehow supernaturally changed by the Mandela Effect? I don't know. Let me look in this book now and let's see if we can find some proof. Okay guys, so this is page 20 and page 21 of this book, 4 Days. And I'm going to actually, I think I'm going to put this on my printer and try to scan these images. Here, you see very clearly, you see an extension here. Here, even more clearly, you see an extension right here. But then in this picture, it doesn't appear as long. The car just does not appear as long. It doesn't appear extended in this picture. It's very strange. What I'm going to do now is I'm going to go ahead and scan these pictures so you guys can get a better look of this picture and this picture with more detail, and we're going to look at them a little bit closer here. Okay, guys, so I ended up finding two pictures that kind of stood out to me. The first one was on page 14 and 15. So, guys, I found two images in that book, 4 Days, that kind of stood out to me. And the first was on page 14 and 15. And this was page 15. I scanned it, and as you can see, this is a recreation of the event. And they wanted to put a sniper up in that spot where they think the shooting took place. And so it's a recreation, basically. But I did think it was interesting because this car is not stretched. It's just got one in the driver, one in the passenger, and then these two people here that represent the president and the first lady. But as I said, it's a recreation, so maybe they just didn't have another stretched Lincoln to recreate it the right way, so they just used what they had. I really don't know. You can't really. It's not conclusive. It's non-conclusive either way. But I did think it was something to note because it's not stretched. And then this was the picture in the book that I noticed that you guys saw that I did think it was interesting. Now, to me, in the bottom, it doesn't look stretched. The bottom just does not look stretched. If we can see the stretched car here, and it has jump seats right there, and it has right here, it has these little windows that come up in the middle, and if we look down in this one, the car does not appear as long. That's my opinion on it. You guys have to tell me what you think, what your opinions are. But in my opinion, there's definitely a difference here. It's very interesting. That's Mrs. Kennedy reaching back here to the trunk of the car. It's really weird, man, especially when you look at them both together. When you look at them both together, that's when it gets really weird. You can see that one car appears more stretched than the other car. Here's Secret Service climbing up. This was taken a few minutes later. Secret Service is jumping up into the car. It's just, I don't know. When I was looking at it in the book, it really appeared that this car right here on the bottom did not appear stretched, and this one did appear stretched, and I thought that was really weird. But as I'm looking at it blown up, man, it's really hard to tell. With the angle, it's kind of at an angle, so that could make it appear shorter because the picture's taken at an angle. It's interesting. It's really non-conclusive. It's inconclusive, isn't it? It's really kind of hard to deduce. I am interested to see what you guys think. Okay, guys, so there you have it. 3 pieces of evidence surrounding the JFK assassination. Some of them say for Mandela effect. Some of them say, no, you're crazy. There's no such thing. Honestly, after looking into this and trying to do a deep dive into this subject, I have to say, I could probably do 3 more videos on this subject. The JFK assassination Mandela effect is so weird and so strange, and it's hard because there's already several conspiracies surrounding this particular moment in history. So the Mandela effect only adds to that confusion. It's really strange, and it's really hard to get a take on what actually happened. But I didn't make this video because I wanted to tell you what I thought. I already know what I think. I made this video because I want to hear what you guys think. The fact of the matter is, I believe that maybe this car was Mandela affected. I don't think that all these people could get it wrong. I think the conversation I had with Robin was absolutely eerie by email. I thought that the telephone conversation that I had with the lady from the Henry Ford Museum was, I think that was proof that she's Mandela affected. I think that that woman saw this car, she works there, and it had 4 seats when she saw it. But she hasn't seen it for a while, and now it has 6 seats. Because I've seen pictures of that car in that museum and it has 6 seats. How is it possible that she works there and yet she remembers it only having 4 seats? It's odd. And then our final bit of proof right here in 4 days. You guys saw the pictures just like I did. It's a little bit hard to explain, isn't it? Hard to explain away. Anyways, there's 3 pieces of evidence for you. I already know what I think, but I want to hear what you guys think. You can say whatever you want in the comment section. Agree with me, disagree with me. It's all good. All that I ask is that you treat me and treat each other with respect in the comment section. Other than that, thanks so much for your comments. Thanks so much for your support on this video, and I will see you guys in the next one. Peace, everybody.
Walk a lonely road on purpose, not afraid to lose a friend. Life is better off with